Hi, my name is Yesenia Padilla, and I will be presenting my research proposal for Buzz Me Up. The first thing we want to do is understand the problem. What is the assessment of, after listening to Buzz Me Up's founder and doing our own cursory research, what is the assessment of the problem? The crux of the problem is, how should Buzz Me Up increase its client base in three target groups: Airbnb hosts, apartment dwellers, and from other cities, apartment dwellers from other cities, and people with many roommates, and retain those um, clients. The thing about Buzz Me Up is they have a remarkably high subscription drop off, about 90%. How do we shift that? Going a little more granular, there are three key research questions. One, what is the size and growth of the potential of each target market? Two, what are the consumer perceptions of Buzz Me Up's current pricing model, and which approach best aligns with the target market? And three, how does each group prioritize security, convenience, and multi-user functionality? And we can include in convenience AI functionalities as well. So, looking a little bit at the literature around property technology, aka prop tech, one of the key findings is that the COVID-19 pandemic radically changed the way we think about prop tech and use it. It was once a luxury sort of amenity for a lot of high rise luxury apartments, luxury properties, but COVID-19 and lockdown brought this technology to the masses. So existing technologies are now being used to update consumer experience to reflect more smart and app-based experiences through prop tech. There's a desire from consumers for a more digitized and convenience experience in their properties and management of their properties, both on the consumer side and the landlord side. So prop tech is understood as frictionless, meaning it removes the conflict or tension from landlord tenant relationships, which results in increased revenue for property owners and better services for renters. Um, it is financially beneficial for prop owners to use prop tech. There was research that suggested up to an 11.6% increase for short term rental owners when they utilize smart prop tech like apps for unlocking doors and apps for check in, things like that. It makes it a lot easier. BuzzMeUp doesn't capture this sort of data, but it is good to know as BuzzMeUp is attempting to transfer existing intercom services onto an app. Um, there's also a concept of care involved in care of tenants by facilitating processes they need to utilize the units that they're renting. Um, and this is really aligned with Buzz Me Up's sort of ethos about solving a problem. Even if it's quote unquote a problem of laziness, it's still solving a problem. And I think there's great financial benefit to that as well. However, there are problems. This frictionless approach has a variety of issues, glitches, bugs, inaccuracies with AI. That can be all the way from like the most minute, annoying kind of quality, all the way to issues of surveillance, issues of neural learning devices having racial biases and prejudice. And also the hardship on low wage call workers who have to manage the technology for consumers. In addition to that, data privacy and security concerns are rising and often in opposition to one another. 67% of smartphone users worry about their data. They are concerned about their data, but they're also concerned about security. For many consumers, the positive influence of fear that they are lacking in security can override that concern about data privacy in when it comes time to purchase a smart device. Um, for Gen Z and millennials in particular, um, quite a few actually. 5 in 10 Gen Z and millennials trust online services, but only 3 in 10 older consumers do. This, coupled with the fact that 1/3 of respondents in this same survey, experienced a data breach of some sort, creates a really conflicting view of who is dependent on technology and how. When it comes to AI, consumers want a fun and friendly service. They want a personified, easy to use functionality. So this is really informative for Buzz Me Up as they explore AI as a concierge type service, as a voicemail type service. Um, Knowing the persona that people want is critical. However, the paying for it part is also very challenging for consumers. Subscription fatigue is on the rise. The sense of frustration and overwhelm due to recurring fees is very much a product of all of the subscription based services that came out during COVID-19, and it's worth Buzz Me Up's time to explore how consumers are feeling about it. So, in short, consumers are looking for a safe, secure, and convenient experience. They have concerns about where their data is going and how it's shared, but they also fear the vulnerability of lack of security. Property managers are looking at the financial benefit of frictionless prop tech, but they're also aware of the issues that arise due to discrimination, of racial biases of AI, as well as hypersurveillance. So let's take a look at our three research questions again regarding the size and growth potential of each target market, the consumer perceptions of Buzz Me Up's pricing model, and then each persona group's prioritization of security, convenience, and multi-user functionality. To assess these three questions, I propose a mixed method research model, which uses survey with multiple topic points that can be used to gather information on each target market and sort of flesh out the consumer personas, and qualitative methods that give us a deeper understanding of said consumer personas and their more personalized feelings on these key issues of subscriptions, costs, and concerns about privacy and data. So it's survey topic one in our survey is security, convenience, and multi-user functionality. I'd like to use sentence completion because I think it's a technique that can give more in-depth answers than the Likert scale or other ordinal techniques. To ask about the $10 monthly service, I'd like to ask about AI. I'd like to ask about features that they would use most often. This is a way to gather up some cursory information, qualitative information. Topic two is subscription sales, and for this, I'd really like to create an experiment that tests in the independent variable of subscription model. I'd like to look at a monthly model versus a yearly model and see if people feel more confident um, in the product if they are paying over time or if they're paying up front. Survey testing an independent variable will reveal indicators of target markets and their attitudes towards the variable. Survey topic three is going to look at deeper into the psychology of those personas. Using a series of 10 different photos to capture and sort the categories, this technique would help segment consumer personas further and highlight what each persona deems important in app subscriptions and other luxury services. So looking at the sample population, we're looking at least 200 participants. We'd like them to ID as renters, Vrbo, or Airbnb hosts, or people with roommates. The demographics, participants will be asked about age, gender, occupation, income, education, and race and ethnicity to really build out a fuller profile. And then participants will be asked if they'd be interested in participating in further research. For further research, once we assess and analyze the survey data, we can assess consumer personas from that and then create focus group questions that delve deeper into the emerging trends around this research. Deliverables will be quantitative and qualitative data, so the actual data, and then comprehensive analysis of that data as it pertains to each of the three research questions, and then recommendations for the brand based on findings from that research. Finally, a little bit about me. I'm the Director of Communications at LA Voice. I have over a decade of experience in communication strategy, brand identity, and narrative development for movement building organizations. I have a pretty foundational research and data analysis background. It's nascent, but it's important. And it helps me cultivate strong vision, taking consumers from URL to IRL. Thank you.